This program contains scenes which some viewers may find confronting. We think they'll still enjoy them, though.
Soon these mattresses are going to be in bedrooms around the country. And people are going to be having sex on them, just as they've been doing for centuries. Or will they? When these mattresses are old and creaky, will they tell the same tales as generations of mattresses before them? Or in a rapidly changing world, are we changing the way we have sex? How often we do it? Who we do it with? How safely? If this mattress could speak, what would it tell us in the 90s? It might tell us a number.
Oi, you! People are going to be rooting on that. Don't know what your filthy feet all over it.
This is a program about sex and the people who are doing it in the 90s.
Well, it was great at first. I told him that I didn't want to rush into bonking, so we did all sorts of other stuff.
It's also a program about the people who aren't doing it in the 90s. What was your response to Gary's invitation, Michelle?
I said no. Gary Proctor's got huge zits.
And it's a program about the people who aren't sure if they're doing it in the 90s or not. Did you ask your father where babies come from?
Yeah, he said Woolies.
Experts say that 97% of us practice some form of sex at some stage in our lives. Many of us do it more than once. But what exactly is it that we do, and what are the consequences? We start our exploration of sex in the 90s with one man, Kevin Bishop. Kevin is 19. He finished high school last year and applied to university to study medicine, but was not accepted. Kevin lives with his parents and is saving up to rent a flat. Kevin has now decided to concentrate on the law, and to that end, he's working at a large city law firm in the mailroom. I spoke to Kevin as he was starting out on the 10 o'clock mail run. Kevin, do you have a girlfriend?
No, I split up with her last year. She met a uni student.
Did you get that itch from her?
No, I got it last Friday on the 4th floor.
What happened?
It was incredible. The lawyers were having a party up there. I think one of them just helped a Japanese company buy part of Tasmania. And, I took an urgent courier delivery up. And one of them just sort of put a drink in my hand.
Kevin's new friend was Gillian Henderson, widely regarded as one of the brightest young lawyers in the company. Before the evening was over, Kevin and Gillian found themselves in the photocopying room.
I've had some pretty wild fantasies in my life. Julia Roberts and 4.5 litres of Castrol GTX, that sort of stuff. This was incredible. I've still got dents from the enlargement control switch in my back.
Did you take any precautions?
Oh, yeah, we switched the machine off so we wouldn't get electrocuted.
What about condoms?
Well, I didn't have any on me. You know, I wasn't expecting it.
And you didn't think to go out and get some?
Miss Henderson's a very busy woman. She's got 3 phones in her office, 1 in her car. Anyway, a woman like that wouldn't have the clap or anything. She's an honours graduate.
And are the tiny parasites crawling around in your pubic hair also honours graduates?
Dunno.
Oh, it wasn't just physical, you know. There was a very cerebral attraction there.
He was attracted to my depth of experience in offshore investment fund documentation, and I was attracted to his work in hostile takeover litigation.
But Kevin hasn't done any work in hostile takeover litigation.
I know that now.
In the photocopying room, did you take any precautions against sexually transmitted diseases?
Peter, I'm an honours graduate. I mean, I know about sexually transmitted diseases. I know about gonorrhea, I know about syphilis, I know about chlamydia, I know about herpes, I know about warts, I know about trichomoniasis, I know about hepatitis B. I carry condoms with me everywhere I go.
Why didn't you use one with Kevin?
I'd had a couple of drinks.
Kevin believes he picked up pubic lice from you.
Impossible. I use a vaginal deodorant 4 times a day, which also acts as a pesticide. I've tried it on ants.
He feels it was probably you because last Friday night was his first sexual encounter in 7 months.
Oh, perhaps they lie dormant like performance-related gold futures bonds. Shit. You've got me at it now. I lent Leo the master. That bastard never wears any underwear. You're not going to use this, are you?
But it wasn't pubic lice that were causing Gillian's discomfort. As she discovered when she came here to see her doctor that afternoon, it was the fungal infection thrush. Naturally, we can't tell you exactly what happened because such details are confidential. So we asked medical experts to reconstruct what probably happened.
I'm afraid it's thrush again, Gillian.
You mean the inactive fungus that occurs naturally in everyone's genital area, regardless of whether they're sexually active or not, has in my case flared up under the influence of stress-induced hormonal changes again, Doctor?
Yes.
Oh, dear.
I'll give you something to clear it up. Now, while you're here, when was the last time you had a pap smear?
You mean the quick and painless collection of cells from my cervix to enable any precancerous changes to be detected early and treated?
Yes.
The test that all women should have done at least every 3 years from within 1 year of starting to have sexual intercourse until they're over 60.
Yes.
The reason being that a woman's physique makes certain precancerous and some sexually transmitted conditions almost impossible to detect through self-examination.
Yes.
I had one about 8 years ago. I've been very busy.
Let's do one now.
Okay, but make it snappy. I've got to sue a Greek merchant bank at 4:30.
Well, when Miss Henderson sent me a memo saying that I probably had thrush, I was a bit worried because I thought thrush was like crabs, except that they could fly, so I decided to get it seen to.
The following morning, Kevin came here to the doctor for his treatment. We have reconstructed the events of that morning again with the help of medical experts.
Here, Kevin, this antifungal cream should fix it this time. In the future, using a condom will stop you getting it from a sexual partner, in the same way the condoms will stop you getting most other sexually transmitted diseases.
Thanks, Doctor.
No look at sex in the 90s can go on any longer than this one has now, without mentioning AIDS. Around the globe, researchers are battling desperately with this virus. To find out where the cutting edge is currently, I've come to this defence research facility, the location of which I'm not permitted to reveal. Is that okay? Good.
The human immunodeficiency virus, HIV, which can lead to AIDS, is a virus whose symptoms don't appear for many years, sometimes 10 or more, for which there is currently no known cure, and which is fatal. It's a major worry.
I would have thought that was an understatement.
A major worry for us here in the Creative Forward Thinking Unit of the Anti-Terrorist Section. We've been researching the possibility of terrorists secretly infecting defence personnel with the AIDS virus. Our task has been to identify possible methods of transmission. At first, we thought we were most vulnerable in the area of toilet seats.
Toilet seats?
But 8 years down the track, we've just about given up on that idea. And coffee cups.
Yes, the rat looks healthy enough for a coffee drinker.
We now believe terrorists are most likely to transmit the AIDS virus to our troops by satellite.
By satellite? Isn't there a serious flaw with that notion?
Yes, they would need to build a $2 billion ground station, but some of these people are desperate.
No, I mean the fact that the AIDS virus can only be transmitted through blood, semen or vaginal fluid.
Blood, semen or vaginal fluid. Are you sure?
The medical evidence is overwhelming.
So our troops could be infected if terrorists had sex with them?
Well, vaginal or anal sex without a condom would place the troops at risk, yes.
Oh, my God.
They'd also be at risk if they injected themselves with syringes already contaminated with HIV-infected blood.
Are there any other ways they could be at risk?
Well, there's a slight risk with oral sex.
Sir, it's Callaway. Red alert to all defence installations. Under no circumstances, repeat, no circumstances, may defence personnel have sex with terrorists unless they use a condom, shoot up drugs with terrorists unless everyone uses their own needle, or lick the genitals of any terrorist whatsoever.
In this recording studio, defence strategies of a different kind in the war against AIDS. Rock group Virginia's Mortgage has decided to include a drug education song on their next album.
Let's go the that one. I'll do the lyric. If for him I had for her, you wanna stay clean, don't share no brim. I had for her, I had for him. You wanna stay clean, don't share no brim. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Much better.
I'll do that. Yeah. What do you reckon?
Surely the point you're trying to make is that people shouldn't share needles rather than fish.
Yeah, but needles doesn't rhyme, but...
But what of Kevin Bishop? 4 weeks after his visit to the doctor, his thrush successfully eradicated, Kevin started going out with Gail Prentice, a pool secretary in the same legal firm.
You've been seeing each other for a little over a week now.
Yeah. 8 days.
Yeah.
Have you had sex?
Yeah.
How many times?
A few.
Can you remember how many?
Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
And Wednesday.
Yeah.
Are you both happy with the way it's going?
Well, Gail's got nylon sheets. They've given me a bit of a rash.
You only told me that this morning.
So you feel the communication within the relationship is improving?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you talked about condoms?
After thinking about my last question for some time, about 9 minutes, Kevin and Gail requested that I continue the interview with them separately.
Yeah, if you just get it out and stick it on, you know, a condom, well, it's like telling her she's dirty, you know, saying she's got something.
Well, she might have.
No, not Gail. She's got very clean personal habits. Well, she uses dental floss.
I know it's important having the protection, but it's too embarrassing. If I suggest using one, he might think I've got something. Or he might think I think he's got something.
He might have something.
Yes, but I wouldn't want to offend him.
Would you say that you and Kevin have a close relationship?
Yes,
A caring relationship?
yes.
So why do you think he might be offended?
Well, I suggest he use a serviette when we were in McDonald's, and he didn't speak to me for 3 hours.
Well, a lot of people find condoms embarrassing, especially buying them. And I don't know why. Well, there's a men's aftershave over here that's meant to make white stallions gallop through your bathroom. Now, that's what I'd be embarrassed to buy.
So were you ever embarrassed about buying condoms?
Yes, well, all right, I'll admit it. I've done that thing of walking in and buying a comb and some toothpaste and some shampoo and another comb.
And how old were you?
29. A successful real estate agent with my own business, yet I couldn't bring myself to buy a packet of condoms. Crazy, huh? So I bought corn plaster and jelly beans and cough mixture and straw hats and conditioner and hemorrhoid ointment.
And did you end up buying the condom?
No, I bought the shop.
But surely you could have gone to a service station to get condoms.
Well, I did think of that, but my accountant advised me I couldn't afford a service station.
What about a vending machine at a men's washroom in a pub or a club?
Yeah. Well, I didn't think of that. Well, of course, you're right. Vending machines. Well, I could have bought one of those easily. I could have bought several, really.
Oh, a packet of condoms, thanks. Oh, better make that too. And some KY jelly. Thanks. Nothing on telly. Might as well, eh?
Well, you're obviously not embarrassed about buying condoms.
No. Oh, right, sorry. Pack for him, thanks.
Unfortunately for some, the alternative to boring television is not an enjoyable journey through a packet of condoms. It's anxiety.
I know sexually transmitted diseases can cause damage or even, kill you, but, well, I just worry that talking about them can damage a relationship. The same with talking about cars or football or bad breath or religion. You either end up in a fight or really embarrassed.
Are you saying, Gail, that you would rather be dead from AIDS than embarrassed?
Would at the moment, yes, after what happened last night.
What did happen last night?
Well, I was sitting here getting all depressed about the nylon sheets when my ex-boyfriend phoned up and said he was feeling lonely and depressed too, so why didn't he come over? So he did, and he ended up staying the night.
Do you have the same communication problems with him as you're having with Kevin?
No. Aldo loves nylon sheets. He says the static electricity makes it feel extra good when he comes.
Why did you decide to break up with him?
Well, we weren't compatible. He's allergic to dust and I've got seagrass matting.
Aldo Morelli is 22 and has been in the fire brigade for 3 years. He and Gail were together for 8 months.
Gail's a very special person. She helped me a lot during a pretty difficult time in my life. I had some serious personal problems with the car. I was very depressed about the suspension. Hello? Here we go.
You, move it now. Out.
So in the end, I had to sell the bloody thing. I couldn't have got through it without Gail. Early on, anyway. That's what I wanted to tell her last night.
Why did she break up with you?
She kept nagging me to put on them rubber things.
Condoms?
Grommets on the shock absorbers. Waste of time, they trap the dust. She might have mentioned condoms a couple of times. They're a waste of time too, as far as I'm concerned.
Why do you feel that?
Well, all this AIDS business, the way I look at it, we've all got to go sometime, right? I mean, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. That's my philosophy. When your time's up, your time's up.
If that's your philosophy, why are you taking such elaborate precautions with all this protective clothing?
There's a bit of a difference between having your penis inside a woman and having it in a physically overpowering, intensively hot, and possibly explosive situation. Well, there was with Gail.
We're not quite sure what the problem is here yet, but these firefighters are trained to deal with a wide range of life-threatening emergency situations.
He's in here, this way.
At the location, the first sketchy details of the emergency began to emerge. A young woman had rung the fire brigade when her date for the evening had got himself into physical difficulties.
Well, we were fooling around and Thomas got an erection and he wanted to put it inside me and I said no.
It's okay, it's gone now.
He said that if he didn't come inside me, he wouldn't be able to sleep tonight.
Honest, I'm fine.
Last he said he could be permanently damaged physically.
I meant mentally.
Then when he started telling me that his balls could drop off, I started to get worried.
Well, I only said they might.
Well, you see, he said that I had a responsibility to do something about it, so I did. I rang 000 and I actually wanted an ambulance, but when I told the operator that Thomas was worried about having a spill, she thought I meant hazardous chemicals.
Why didn't you masturbate, son?
Really, it's fine, thanks.
Oh, I offered to do it for him, but he said it had to be inside me or he wouldn't be able to do the geography assignment.
Unit 36 to base.
Go ahead, 36.
Situation under control. No sign of a chemical spill, but we do have a bullshit artist.
Message understood.
9:15. This must have been extremely traumatic for you.
Yes, it is. You see, I really like Thomas, so when he gave me that old line about the geography assignment, I felt sick in the stomach.
So you panicked and grabbed for the phone?
Panicked? No. I decided to teach him a lesson.
Anything else I can do?
We didn't have much sex education at home.
Did you ask your father where babies come from?
Yeah, he said Woolies.
What about changes that were happening to your own body? Did anyone explain those?
Well, when I was 12, I woke up one morning and my thing was all stiff and I didn't know why. So I asked my mum. She said a mosquito had bitten it. So every night I rubbed insect repellent on it, but didn't work. Got stiff almost straight away.
But you now know why that was.
Well, yeah, I must have been allergic to the repellent.
The next time you're with Kathy and she doesn't want to have intercourse, do you think you'll have a better idea of what else you could do instead?
I'm getting a book.
A sex manual?
No, a Stephen King book to read instead. That's if I see her again. I think she's going out with one of the firefighters.
Well, it was a disaster. Well, it was great at first. I told him that I didn't want to rush into bonking, so we did all sorts of other stuff.
What sorts of other stuff?
Well, we gave each other a great massage and then we rubbed each other off and we said exciting things to each other. And I told him how sometimes I like to have a sense of urgency in lovemaking and, well, being in the fire brigade, he was really good at that. And so he pretended that I was trapped at the bottom of a lift well in a half-demolished bond store and flames were advancing on all sides and the only way he could get me out of there was to completely relax my lower body. It was great.
And then what happened?
Oh, well, same old problem. The next day he decided it was time to have intercourse and, well, I decided that I would, but he said that he didn't want to use a condom, said it'd make him feel less of a man.
What did you do?
Well, I lost my temper, I'm afraid. I told him that in that case he'd be feeling less of a woman and booted him out.
How did you feel after you'd done that?
Okay, except afterwards I thought, you know, perhaps I should have talked it through with him, like explained why it was important to me and given him a chance to respond, and then booted him out. I mean, why do people have this thing about condoms?
People won't feel comfortable about condoms until they're advertised more widely, more frequently and more imaginatively. It's as simple as that.
And why aren't they advertised more widely, more frequently and more imaginatively?
Don't ask me. Ask the TV stations. Ask the advertisers. I've got the best creative condom team in Australia out there. If our concepts for selling condoms ever reached the screen, they'll win so many awards, I'd have to sack a couple of account executives just to fit them all in. Show you an example.
Oh, what? In the cupboard, David.
How was your first night with Amanda Webster, son?
Oh, she's a health nut.
So?
So, I had to use a condom, didn't I?
The things we do.
Very funny.
I didn't think you'd use a condom for anyone, David.
Mum, Amanda Webster is not just anyone.
David! Hurry up!
Condoms. If you don't tell them they're healthy, they'll use them by the boxful.
That's a world-class ad. The client wouldn't use it.
Why not?
Another agency had exactly the same idea at exactly the same time for a breakfast cereal. We suggested combining the two, putting a condom in each box of cereal as a free gift, but they wouldn't be in it.
Have you made any others?
Exactly the same problem with our Oh What a Feeling campaign. The guys wearing condoms, jumping into the air, and the You Ought to Be Congratulated campaign. Tragic. Do you know how much margarine that concept sold? That could have been condoms.
So what kinds of condom commercials are TV stations and advertisers putting to air?
I'll show you.
But it doesn't mention sex, contraception, safety, enjoyment, lubrication, satisfaction, or the word condom.
And it's won 3 awards.
Really?
Yeah. It sold more saddles than any other commercial.
But no condoms, though.
We've decided to move condoms off the screen and into direct marketing.
How do you plan to do that?
Our task is to associate condoms with caring, but also with fun. Okay, just as we know and love Red Nose Day, I'm pushing for the introduction of Condom Day.
As this program was nearing completion, we learned that Smith de Courcy Brown Advertising had won a gold Franco at the International Advertising Awards in Madrid for their concept of making condoms fun. We also learned that Ross de Courcy had been arrested by Spanish police. But what of Kathy Abramovitz? 2 weeks after her frustrating encounter with Aldo Morelli, she went to see Thomas McNally. Thomas had spent the time since he last saw Kathy trying to do some reading. He'd bought a Stephen King novel, but hadn't been able to really get into it. Next, he tried a guide to the hill towns of Italy, but he couldn't get interested in that one either. Finally, in desperation, he went to the library and borrowed a book about sex. He'd just started reading about female sexuality when Kathy dropped round.
Well, it was great. As soon as I saw him reading that book, I knew I'd misjudged him. I mean, I thought he was a dickhead, but then I could see he was prepared to consider another person's point of view. We talked for hours about life and our childhoods and what we like to do in bed and whether we think that frozen pizzas are better microwaved or under the grill. And then we made love, and it was great.
And you were happy about the way you made love, what you did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you talked about that too?
Yeah.
Well, I explained to Kathy, the only reason I thought you had to do it inside a girl was because that's how I learned to do it.
A previous girlfriend had taught you this?
No, Shane Posner at school. He taught me how to do it in Year 7. I paid him 80 cents. Oh, and 10 cents extra for a look at his mum's chest x-rays.
And Kathy, how did hearing this make you feel?
Great, because once he'd opened up, I felt better about telling him some of the things I like doing.
Such as?
I love kissing. I can kiss for hours, as long as we share a few minties to keep the blood sugar levels up. Have an ambition to have an orgasm just from kissing.
She'll do it too.
And sometimes I don't feel like sex. I just feel like cuddling, don't I?
Yeah. Well, I like cuddling too. When I was a little kid, I'd cuddle anything. Bricks, saucepans, the neighbours.
And Thomas, do you feel you can talk to Kathy about some of the things you like to do?
Oh, yeah, it's great. Well, have you ever had your penis shampooed?
Oh, no, I can't say I have.
And Thomas agreed to wear a condom as long as it was a black and white striped one.
Can't the magpies? Oh, and Kathy showed me where her chlamydia was.
Clitoris. That little fleshy thing that feels real good for me when you spray water on it, that's my clitoris.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah.
And I also found myself telling her things I've never ever told a girl before.
Yeah.
What was that?
Well, how it makes me nervous if a girl makes a lot of noise when we're having sex.
Why does that make you nervous?
Because Mum and Dad are downstairs watching telly.
Hi, Kathy.
Tracy, I told you to knock. I'm going to tell Mum.
My friend Michelle wants to do an interview.
Yes, all right. Yes, well,
Come on, Michelle, tell him. Go on.
It's nothing, really.
Michelle.
Gary Proctor asked me to have sex with him.
Tell him the details.
well, perhaps Michelle would rather not talk about it.
No, she doesn't mind. She wrote about it on the cubicle wall in the changing room. No, I did that.
I don't mind talking about it.
Where did this happen, Michelle?
Last Saturday, the thong on his board had snapped and we were talking on the beach. And he invited me to an all-night party. And I said, do you mean an all-night party till 1 or something, or an all-night party?
What did he say?
An all-night party.
I said she could say she was staying at my place. Sometimes truth must be a casualty of human destiny, and I've got bunks. We knew he was probably going to put the hard word on that, because we'd been talking to my brother about it for weeks. But I told Michelle to tell him to keep his fly zipped until he learns to keep his mouth zipped. That's dumb, he just never speak to you again.
And what was your advice to Michelle Nicole?
I told her to follow the dictates of her heart, as long as he had some condoms and hadn't been eating onions.
How did you respond to Gary's invitation, Michelle?
I said no.
Gary Proctor's got huge zits.
I think he's nice.
Had you been out with him before?
About 6 times.
How did you feel after you'd said no?
I don't know. Sort of mixed feelings. But mostly good. Mum was great. She said that if he was going to get shitty about it, then he wasn't worth having in the first place.
How did Gary respond to you saying no?
She's never seen him again.
Yes, I have.
When?
He came round to my place on Wednesday night.
He didn't tell us.
He didn't go to the all-night party because his nan got sick and they had to take her to the hospital.
He didn't tell us he came round.
He didn't ask. He invited me to go and visit his nan with him.
Did you go?
Yeah. She had her gallstones out and she gave them to Gary. And he gave one to me.
He gave you one of his nan's gallstones? He must really like you.
So far, we've met a number of people who've already had sex together. Some happily in relationships, others not. Aldo Morelli was still looking for the woman of his dreams. One wet and windy night, he found her in a wrecked Datsun panel van. Fiona Nolan, 20, driver for a large courier company.
It was love at first sight. Well, when I came to and saw him cutting me out of the wreckage, his big brown eyes all glowing with concern, I got all hot down here. Well, mind you, that was partly because he was using an oxy welder.
And you had sex with him that very first night?
Well, in the ambulance, yeah. Well, the ambulance officers were very good about it. They put surgical masks over their eyes and everything.
How often do you have sex together?
Normal amount, I suppose. Nights, mornings, lunchtimes if we're in the same postal district.
Do you feel you can talk openly with him about sex?
Oh, yeah, pretty much.
He's relaxed about that?
Yeah. Well, the only time it caused any difficulty was one time when we were at the drive-in and we were doing it, and I whispered in his ear for him to go on top. But he thought I meant on top of the car. Well, he got embarrassed because when he got up there, his shadow was on the screen.
Have you talked to Aldo about sexually transmitted diseases?
Oh, no. Well, we don't have to worry because I'm on the pill.
The pill?
Yeah.
But surely the pill will stop you getting pregnant. It won't stop you getting chlamydia or herpes or AIDS.
Yes, it does.
Over 50% of women who die of AIDS are on the pill.
Well, they must have missed a day.
Medical research proves that of the organisms and viruses that create... Shouldn't you be wearing a seatbelt?
Oh, no, I don't need to, because I'm on the pill.
What if a truck runs into us?
Well, it won't. I'm on the pill.
So a few short weeks ago, when your previous van swerved off the road and smashed into a telegraph pole, you weren't on the pill?
Well, yes, I was. It's just that I was a bit late taking it. Well, that's why I swerved off the road. I was trying to find it in the glove box. Delivery. Won't be a sec.
Do you want a hand?
Oh, no, I'm all right.
We really shouldn't double park here. It's a $120
Oh,
fine.
it's okay. I'm on the pill.
Mr. Murray, you've led demonstrations outside your local high school. calling for an end to sex education in the classroom.
That's correct.
What do you say to critics who accuse you of placing young people at risk by attempting to deny them proper sex education in their schools?
What young people don't know, Peter, can't hurt them.
Mr. Murray, is it true that your 15-year-old daughter recently had gonorrhea?
Absolutely not. It was wind.
She told me she was in extreme pain urinating for 3 days.
Lettuce always does that to her.
And she also told me that when she plucked up the courage to find a doctor who would bulk bill so that you wouldn't find out, she was diagnosed as having gonorrhea.
It was Satan, inflaming her genitourinary system.
She told me it was Ryan Clifton from number 49.
Satan takes many forms, including microscopic infectious organisms in the cervix.
Your daughter also told me that she had been completely cured after a course of antibiotics. So it would seem, Mr. Murray, that Satan can be defeated by antibiotics.
Only if you take the full course, Peter.
Little wonder there's so much ignorance about sex and sexual matters when sex education is so often inadequate. Explicit, practical information and advice are still scarce. Improvements are being made, but people working with sexually transmitted diseases say the material available still isn't grasping the issues with both hands.
Okay, so we know it's uncool to have sex without a condom.
And we all know what a condom looks like, feels like, smells like and tastes like.
But how do you actually put one on?
Well, first, of course, you need an erect penis.
We've already talked a bit about how some people feel a little bit embarrassed by the whole idea of putting a condom on an erect penis.
And we've already said how there's absolutely no need to feel embarrassed because it's the most natural thing in the world to put a condom on an erect penis.
Which is why we're going to use a carrot.
Take out a condom. Make sure it's not inside out. Pinch the top to expel any air and roll it on. Be careful not to snag it with any rings or long fingernails or anything. And use plenty of water-based lubricant.
There we are. Simple as that.
At this point, we were contacted by two of the people we spoke with at the beginning of our investigation. Kevin Bishop and Gail Prentice. You'll remember they felt embarrassed about even discussing condoms. Things have changed for Kevin and Gail. They've told me they're now happily using condoms, and they've invited us into their bedroom for a demonstration. Excuse me, Kevin. Gail, sorry to interrupt. Excuse me.
No problem.
Hi.
Hi, how are you? This is extraordinarily kind of you both to give us this opportunity of seeing a condom actually being used. And Kevin, how does it feel on your penis?
My penis?
Penis?
You're kidding.
No, I'm not.
Well, since we last spoke, we've seen at least 4 sex education videos, and well, they all put the condom on a carrot.
Or a zucchini or something.
Well, fruit and veg, anyway.
We've never thought of putting it on his penis, have we?
No.
Might be fun, eh?
Want to give it a go?
All right. No, we need a new one. Here, you can have the carrot. Here.
Remember Aldo Morelli?
There's a bit of a difference between having your penis inside a woman and having it in a physically overpowering, intensively hot and possibly explosive situation.
It was around this time that an ironic, and for Aldo and Fiona, unfortunate development occurred in the intriguing sexual network that has been unfolding before us. While fighting a fire in a cosmetic warehouse in Botany without wearing any protection, Aldo Morelli suffered minor but debilitating burns. Fiona visited him in hospital every day, but after a couple of weeks, she began to feel frustrated at the limited prospects of resuming their sexual relationship. Aldo was talking about joining an order of firefighting Franciscan monks in Sardinia. And Fiona had the needs of a normal, healthy young woman whose broken legs were healing fast. And so it was that one Saturday night, Fiona accepted an invitation to a party at this house. The party was being thrown by a friend of a friend at the courier company whose parents were holidaying at Kempsey. It was at this party that Fiona met and had sex with this man.
Russell Dempster, son of wealthy parents, educated at Altrincham College, dropped out of university to work as a ski instructor, currently employed as a salesman. After exhaustive research, we spoke to 37 of the 38 people at the party. 5 of the other women who met Russell Dempster that night have admitted they had sex with him during the weeks that followed.
He offered to adjust the boot clamps on my skis and, well, one thing led to another.
I was depressed. One of my lovers had pulled a hamstring. Russell was real supportive. And he had a great bum. It was good fun, and he had an excellent car. And he's really good at oral sex. But I had to drop him because he had absolutely no commitment to the cotton workers in Nicaragua.
Dead shit. Wouldn't use a condom, picked his nose in bed. Real scumbag. Gave him a hand job and rang a taxi.
My marriage hadn't been going well for a while, and I just needed a fling. I'd given Russell my number at the party. When he rang, I thought, why not? I'm afraid condoms just didn't enter into it. I was more worried about my husband noticing the semen stains on the car headrest.
The one person at the party we haven't been able to speak to is Russell Dempster. We've tracked Mr. Dempster down to this newly built retirement village where he's currently employed as a salesperson. We're hoping to have a few words with him now. Excuse me, Mr. Dempster, I wonder if I can ask you a few questions.
Yeah, well, I'm just with this couple right now, but I can show you around in a sec if you like.
It's actually not a retirement unit I want to talk about, Mr. Dempster. It's your sex life.
Yeah, well, I'm actually a busy man.
Our research indicates that in the last 6 months you've had sex with at least 14 women. Can you confirm that?
Well,
and they've indicated to me that at no stage in any of the sex that took place was a condom used. I wonder if you could comment on that. Please don't touch the camera, Mr. Dempster. Mr. Dempster, are you aware that as a person who is sexually active, who doesn't use a condom, you run the risk of picking up and passing on a whole range of diseases, including AIDS? Mr. Dempster, I have a whole range of literature here pointing out the risk to you and your partners. Mr. Dempster, I have a diagram here showing how untreated chlamydia in women can lead to pelvic inflammatory disease and make them unable to bear children. Mr. Dempster, are you aware of a variety of ways the AIDS virus can enter the human body? Mr. Dempster! Mr. Dempster obviously doesn't want to talk about blood, semen, or vaginal fluid. Mr. Dempster! Mr. Dempster? Mr. Dempster!
Well, yes, as you can see, there's more than adequate storage space in the units.
Yes, there's enough room to store tens of thousands of condoms if you were so inclined.
Look, do you want me to tell you why I don't carry condoms with me everywhere I go? Because it would look as if I assume that I'm going to have sex with every woman I meet.
But you do assume that you're going to have sex with every woman that you meet.
Yes, but I don't want them to know that. Anyway, condoms aren't that necessary. I mean, I can tell if a woman's likely to have something. You know, you just avoid the rough ones.
You might be interested to know that in the last 6 months, one of your sexual partners has had 23 other sexual partners.
23?
That's right.
Before or after me?
Both.
Excuse us, about the connections for the washing machine.
Look, I'm sorry. I'm a little busy right now, okay?
It was at this point that sex in the 90s started to outstrip the resources of this program. However, we were able to investigate this rapidly growing family tree of sexual contact a little further. Remember Helen F., the married lover of Russell Dempster? Let's meet her husband, Roger.
Helen and I have had an understanding for years that because I'm bisexual, I can have a male lover as long as he's certified free of all disease and as long as he doesn't park his car on the grass verge next to Helen's hydrangea bushes.
You've got to be careful, and I am. Always a condom, except with Roger. Oh, here's my time out. I know his only other partner is Helen. God bless her. And the day Helen plays around, they'll give away condoms in packets of cornflakes.
And that's where our investigation of sex in the 90s winds up. Almost. To finish, we decided to go back to where we started and find out how Kevin Bishop is getting on.
I only heard last week.
Heard what?
Miss Henderson, the lawyer from work. No, the photocopying room one. Her regular boyfriend was doing some drugs just on weekends and sharing needles. And now they've both got the AIDS virus.
They're both HIV positive.
Yeah.
Have you been tested?
Yeah, I had a test as soon as I heard. I'm negative.
Have you told Gail?
No, no need to. I'm negative.
So even though you've had both tests and you're negative, you still don't want Gail to know?
How do you mean, both tests?
You have one, and then 3 months later you have another one.
Oh.
The signs of being HIV positive can take some time to show up in your blood. So you have to go 3 months without having unsafe sex, and then have a second test.
Better tell Gail then, eh?
And so what will these mattresses say about sex in the 90s? I think they'll say the F word, fun. But I think they'll also say the C word, careful.
I've had relations with girls from many nations. I've made passes and women of all classes. And just because you're gay, I won't turn you away. If you stick around, I'm sure that we can find some common ground. Sexuality, young and warm and wild and free. Sexuality, your laws do not apply to me. Sexuality, don't threaten me with misery. Sexuality, we can be what we want to be.
For further safe sex information,